Good
Good job, Ron. Yeah.
Not bad for a time, right?
I should get a letter of achievement for that.
We'll make you a
We'll get
certificate.
your proclamation.
We'll have to do a proclamation.
I'm good here. You have 29 there, so whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I got 29 in the.
If you knew how untech savvy I am, you really would.
Oh, no, you can't be worse than me. Last time I touched it, I think I knocked the whole system out. We had to cancel the meeting. No.
10:29.
Yes.
It's like a long
I don't
minute.
want to break the law here.
Yeah.
Go early. Everybody's so quiet. Now call the meeting of the Carbon County Board of Commissioners to order. Please rise for a moment of silence, prayer, and pledge of allegiance.
Father, thank you for each body, mind, and heart of those participating in this meeting, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Strengthen our confidence in who you have made us to be. I believe that you will guide us in this meeting so that the positive results can be seen day, months, and even years after today. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of constituting the accuracy of written minutes. Tapes are reused, eliminating recorded records of these proceedings. Approval of the minutes on the previous meeting held May 13th, 2021.
Motion approved.
Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes. Are there any guests concerning county business? Hearing none, we'll move on.
Next item is Mr. Tom Miller from Catholic Charities, Diocese of Allentown, and serving as the program manager for the Carbon County Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Mr. Miller?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I appreciate the invite. Just wanted to bring up to date a little bit about what's going on. We did have a little flurry of activity the last week or so. So I think I sent out 18 checks this morning, or they'll go out tomorrow morning rather. We're still not getting the volume that I thought we would get, but I think we got a little bit of a push from the provider meeting that we had last week, where I think some people are spreading the word a little bit. We are seeing that we're putting more people up in hotels and motels as temporary while we work on case management to get them permanent homes. If anybody has any questions about the program or about any particulars, I'm happy to address them.
Tom, can you give us an overview of the statistics? You know, how many families, landlords have been served, the amount of funds that have been distributed and or obligated or committed to future, be it current, past or arrears or into the future?
Yeah, I am pulling that up as we speak. So the total number, and these numbers were submitted last week. So 65 households received assistance for a total of $298,000, almost $299,000. That's through the end of April. So we, as I said, we had a flurry for May. So I'll have those updated figures probably next week.
Unless I misread it this morning, I saw an email, I don't know if Chris or Rocky saw it, on the start date for the program. Well, well into the program, so apparently they aren't aware, I don't know. We'll have to make sure they are aware that we started the program and how far along we are.
That's interesting because 2 weeks ago on WFMZ, there was an article online that said that the number of applications is far less than anticipated. And I thought to myself, how do they know that? Because nobody has submitted a report yet. So I don't know where those numbers came from, but.
Right, because we just submitted last week was our first report requirement. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes. And like I said, that came out a week before that,
Yeah.
so.
And Tom, if people want information on Carbon County's Emergency Rental Assistance Program, what's the website and phone number that they can go to?
So they can go to Catholic Charities AD.org. And there they will see a rental assistance tab at the very top. And so Carbon is on there. And that's where the application is housed and can be filled out and submitted. And then I download those every morning when I come in. I check them and download the most recent ones.
And then if they have a question when filling out the application, who or where do they call? And the number, please.
Okay, right now, because, we sort of set up a special number to field those calls. Let me grab that quick.
So while you're doing that, I'll remind everyone it's CatholicCharitiesAD.org. From there, there's an emergency rental assistance program link further into the website where the application is posted.
And that is on our website.
Yep,
that
and it is
information.
ours also,
And the
yep.
phone number, I'm sure.
Yep.
What will,
You know what, I would say, Chris, at this point, because I'm really the only one managing Carbon County,
Right, yeah,
start to finish. So I would just say that they can use our main number.
right, okay, yeah, and that's what we were using before. Would you pass that just so the press here can have that available should they decide to do anything?
So that number would be 610
Yep.
435-1541, and my direct extension is 302.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
Got it. Okay. Do any of the other board members have any questions for Mr. Miller at this time? Hearing none, so Mr. Miller can get back to work. I'll open it up to the media at this time before Mr. Miller has to leave to get back to work. Melissa,
I'm okay.
nothing? Amy?
Just how much was Carbon County allocated for this round?
Tom, was the allocation around 4.22 million?
Yes.
Thank you.
Kelly, nothing? You're good? Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Miller.
Okay, thank you all. Enjoy your day.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on.
Next item is the opening of bids, CDBG project, Westport Borough, water and sewer improvements, fiscal year 2017, Bridge Street stormwater improvements. And our first bidder is CPA Paving Services out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Total amount bid, $172,788.
There is a 10% discount.
Next bid is CE Ankewitz Construction and Excavation Incorporated out of Mountaintop, Pennsylvania. The total amount bid, $166,563.45. The next bidder is H&K Group Incorporated out of Skippack, Pennsylvania. Total amount bid, $175,170. The last bidder, Barker and Barker Paving and Excavating out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Total amount bid, $149,190.
There was a 10% bid bond.
So move that we table for a period not to exceed 2 weeks forward to planning and development for its review and recommendation.
I'll second that.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes,
The report of executive sessions held,
there were no executive sessions held.
department reports, budget transfers for the years 2020 and 2021.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes,
There are no supplemental appropriations. Expenditures, approval of check numbers 220733 through 220920 for expenditures to the general fund clearing account totaling $1,919,892.79.
motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes,
The treasurer's report.
Move to accept.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
yes,
The personnel report.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
yes,
Correspondence was received as listed. Copies will be made available to the press upon request. Children and youth for approval and execution. Fiscal year 2020-2021 purchase of service agreement with Hoffman Homes for Youth of Littlestown, Pennsylvania.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
yes,
For approval and execution, the Children and Youth Services second quarter fiscal year 2020-2021 Act 48 invoice report, which will result in the county receiving $8,396.37 in IT grant funds, $43,700 in special grant funds, $5,075 in housing grant funds, $17,138.39 in Title IV EAA funds, $11,020 in TANF funds, and $102.80 in Medicaid funds.
Move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
yes,
Communications 911 for approval and execution. Letter of engagement for the provisioning of Next Gen 911 with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency to sustain Next Gen 911, HEMA selected Comtech to provide 911 call delivery and next-gen 911 services to the counties and regional 911 systems to utilize next-gen 911 solution effective December 7th, 2020 through December 6th, 2027. This includes three one-year renewal options approved through the statewide interconnectivity fund.
Motion to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
District Court for approval and execution agreement with ESCO Incorporated of Ephrata, Pennsylvania for monitoring services for security cameras and panic buttons located at the Lansford District Court office effective June 1, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. Service calls will be charged at $160 per visit, and subsequent labor will be charged at $120 to $8 per hour in fractional hours. Annual monitoring fee of $208.
Move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Insurance for ratification. 2021-2022 insurance renewal with the Pennsylvania County's Risk Pool for the period of June 1, 2021 through May 31st, 2022 at a total cost of $348,995. This is an increase of $46,156. Choosing the payment of 40%, 30%, and 30%. Cost breakdown is as listed.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
Discussion. So I noticed that this P Court renewal includes a 7% commission for Will Donner's insurance agency. I look over to my left flank, I see Corinne and Jen in this office who had the opportunity and would have been presented a 3% pay increase. Yet I see that Will Donner's insurance agency have offered to reduce, because of the increased cost of the county of this, their commission to 3.5%. Yet in this current motion, we're basically giving Will Donner's a 100% pay increase. And why I can award merit 100% increase compared to what our employees received. One is unfair, and it's not fiscally conservative or a responsible act. So I will go ahead and make the motion to table this for rediscussion and reconsideration next week.
I think I would table, but I think we should just have a discussion right now, like I know you have something to reduce it further than that, but whatever the percentage I think would work out to what they got paid this past year, if they were willing to take a deduction below that, I think we should just keep it at the payments that they had from last year. You know, there's a lot of contracts that are going with freezes. Why couldn't we freeze them at the level that they were at instead of going backwards?
Because they're willing to accept it, which tells us that their profit margin is sufficient, that they can accept it. We're here to do what's best for the taxpayer, not this particular insurance agency. And I kudos to Will Donner's insurance agency to their willingness to work with us to keep our costs down and the cost of the taxpayers. Why would we not accept this donation? We accept donations to the animal shelter, for example. Why would we not accept this gracious offer from Will Donner's insurance agency?
I'll second it to table it.
For the tabling, Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Personal
Go ahead.
die.
Solicitor.
Yes, that first motion is fine. So the only thing we want to recommend again is, or note that the insurance expires May 31st, so we have to take action
Next week.
next week
yeah.
to keep our insurance in place.
Okay.
And the insurance is based on the percentage, and the reason for the increase is the insurance claims. And that's what the costs are based
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Planning and development. For approval and execution, subcontract agreement between the county and the Carbon County Chamber and Economic Development Corporation to provide assistance to the CDBG Business Assistance Program. The Carbon Chamber and Economic Development Corporation will be reimbursed by the county at an hourly rate of $30. The county shall have the right to terminate this contract on 15 days written notice to the contractor.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Teamsters, a settlement agreement for approval and execution. Settlement agreement relative to Teamsters grievance number 46370, agreeing to compensate employees who were mandated to work overtime for 3 or more consecutive days between December 28th, 2020 and January 27th, 2021. Compensation equals 1/2 of his or her hourly rate plus the shift differential if applicable. Said settlement amicably resolves the dispute and has no precedential effect on any other actions, grievance, arbitration, or any other proceeding of any kind.
Move to, go ahead.
I move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
For approval and execution, settlement agreement relative to Teamsters grievance number 46272, agreeing to reimburse 1 personal day to a said employee. Said settlement amicably resolves the dispute and has no precedential effect on any other action, grievance, arbitration, or any other proceeding of any kind.
Motion to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Solicitors report?
Thank you. 4476 Susquehanna Street project. Approval and execution. A revised proposal received from Corporate Environments of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, for furnishings located on the first floor of 76 Susquehanna Street. As indicated, total cost of $163,068.92. This replaces the proposals approved at the May 6, 2021 meeting, agenda item 21-224.
Move to approve and execute.
Second on discussion. I just want to explain a little bit to everybody how this dollar amount came to. Originally, we were probably approximately $300,000 to $400,000 for the furniture in the 76 building. And with this, as everybody can see, it's $163,068.92. And I have to commend Corporate Environmental for coming in. They looked at our furniture that was good, things that matched up that they can match up. And they wound up saving us money that, you know, we had furniture in here that if we would have had it a sale, probably would have been worth $20. But there were things that were actually like showroom condition that they used. So I want to thank them for doing that. And I'm hoping this motion passes because this shows that we are out to save money for the county, you know, and that's a lot of money that was saved in trying to do it the right way. Thank you.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Banner request for approval and execution. A banner request submitted for Renegades Inc. for the Jim Thorpe Area Running Festival, May 22nd and 23rd, 2021. The banner request is May 20 through May 24, 2021.
Move to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Children and Youth for approval and execution. A revised affiliation agreement between Carbon County Children and Youth and Kutztown University for utilization of college student in the capacity of unpaid internship. The term of the agreement will be 420 hours for a period of 15 weeks. This replaces the agreement approved at the April 29th, 2021 meeting, agenda item 21-211.
Motion to approve and execute.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Parks and Recreation for approval and execution. Special activities agreements for use of Mock Chunk Lake Park were submitted for the following: St. Mark's and St. John's Episcopal Church, 4-mile and 15K foot race, the Race Street Run on July 3rd, 2021. The Lenape Nation Native American Festival, Mock Chunk Powwow, September 11th and 12th, 2021. Pending receipt of valid insurance certificate, and Kijong exercise classes on the beach for the dates listed.
Move to approve and execute to include the last one.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Okay, is there any further business? Hearing none, shall I move on to commissioners' reports? Mr. Honor?
I do have a little bit something. Chris, were you gonna bring this up, the
Which one?
dog shelter?
I was just gonna read part from the conclusion. That was
Okay,
it.
well,
Yeah.
I wanted to give sort of like a little bit of a report on that.
Yeah, that's good.
I know Chris is gonna, we did get a report back from, and I won't take your
No, go
stuff
ahead.
away from
Yeah,
you.
whatever, no.
But there are things that I've been looking into for the last 2 weeks. There were some deficiency in there, and we're looking like for covering for the dogs, you know, for the kennel. The lighting has already been purchased. We're gonna install that. The windows, we're getting windows to replace them. And some of the other work would be black topping, which was a liability to the county because everybody's going up there and stumbling over the rocks to go in. So we're gonna try and straighten some of these things out. We're not gonna get all the way in 1 week, but we're gonna try to get these deficiencies out of the way. And I just wanna make one comment, like a lot of people are donating money to us. And most of the people that either if they have any kind of animal, if it's dogs, cats, or a horse or whatever they have, they think that their animals are people too. And they should be treated just as well as what they are. And like I said, for the donations that we get, I think we have to start showing the people on what we're using the donations for. And that'll be it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yeah, and following up on Commissioner Arner's comments on the operational risk management assessment, you know, the reason we've asked the Lehigh County Humane Society and you know, PCOR, our insurance provider, to come in here is to help us understand where we could do better to ensure that as long as, you know, the county manages the facility, it's a facility that best serves the animals that it holds and of course our employees. And obviously the press has clear availability of this. I think it's probably sitting in your inbox, but I'll just read a little bit of from the conclusions. I believe, and this is coming from the head of the Lehigh Valley Humane Society who led the effort for us. I believe this facility can be a productive animal shelter that serves both the animals and the people of Carbon County if given the necessary resources and support. This is a functional animal holding facility. It is not an adoption center, community outreach, or medical facility. The animals, unfortunately, are being underserved in the current environment. I stress the environment, not, you know, our employees and how they care for these animals, because we know there's great passion applied towards caring for these animals. The shelter manager is overworked, and we know Tom is, and we've been making efforts, increasing salaries, increased to an additional full-time employee to try to help alleviate that stress on Tom up there and the calls that he gets all hours of the day and night. Many of these issues that are presented here can be addressed in a relatively quick manner, as Rocky mentioned, and inexpensive, while others will require more time and financial support. And we're committed to running the best facility and managing the best facility we can. And we will continue to work with the Humane Society and PCOR, and of course, Tom up at the shelter to realize some of the recommendations of that study. Mention a little bit, Mock Chunk Lake Park, beach opens a week from Saturday. We do have a good contingent size of lifeguards. All 3 swim areas will be open. Understand that tends to wax and wane as kids come in and out of school activities and stuff, but the director of the park was here this morning for a few minutes and all looks really good for the opening of the beach segment. Of course, camping has been ongoing here for a while. I will mention voting. You know, the last couple of days we've been up interacting with Lisa and the team up there, and we thank them for all the work they have done. I will mention the process is ongoing when it comes to the write-in ballots and starting to assess them and tabulate them. Now, there are over 3,000 write-ins, so ballots that have write-ins. But I'll give you an example, and this is just a mock-up. I understand it's tough to see, but you can see the Sharpie writing. I looked at numerous numerous ballots that had write-ins. Each ballot could contain 10, 12, 13 separate write-ins in there. So when we say there's 3,000 ballots, you could potentially multiply that times 10. And there's a manual process initially to get names that are not necessarily recognized into the database. So it is a time-consuming process. So again, patience as the team up there works through this process and commences the formal canvassing, which is expected to start Friday at 9 a.m. We did have reports of some phone outages up at the school district on Tuesday morning or Tuesday, which inhibited some flow of additional materials out to, I believe it was Penn Forest Township. Again, remember, every facility also has what they refer to as a tablet, which is really a giant computer screen, so that when there was a shortage of ballots for the non-affiliated voters. Remember, the non-affiliated voters could vote in this election for the 4 questions, 3 constitutional, 1 referendum. So some of those did run short, and they did quickly get resupplied. But again, it was exacerbated a little bit by the phone problems for a couple hours with Penn Forest. I think Summit Hill also might have had a similar request for more non-affiliated ballots. And they're the only kind of anomalies or problems that I've heard of so far. That's all I have.
Concerning the elections, the returns came in extremely fast this time. The people that work, Corinne, Jen, the others in our office, Colleen and Lisa, and all the staff up at the election office, they were boom, boom, boom. They had their assembly line set up. Things moved rapidly, and it went very, very well. The sad part about the election is the low turnout. People just don't realize how important the local offices are, whether it's school board, township, or borough. These offices are the ones that touch you every day compared to the state and federal government. So that's disappointing when we have such a low turnout, and a lot of people don't trust the machines yet. I feel very confident everything was handled in a professional manner. We get accurate counts, everything when we start canvassing, everything will be double checked again to ensure that our election is accurate. We don't want to put those numbers out there until we are absolutely certain of the write-ins in particular right now. And I don't know if we'll see that today yet, but we should have it tomorrow sometime in the final unofficial count, unofficial until we have our second canvassing meeting to give the final approval. So kudos to the staff, election staff, and all the extra workers we had from the other offices that were up there. And it was one of the shortest nights for election returns in how long run.
Yeah,
You're
I
50
was
years.
amazed that I got my report at home it was about 10:15, which was surprising considering the number of write-in.
The write-ins, the mail-ins, there were over 800 or 600-700 mail-ins, and everything considered, it went smoothly. Except some minor glitches. Yep, many times. So the other thing I have, if you saw under correspondence today regarding an article that was put out by the Pennsylvania Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, and it highlighted Carbon County, and it's on veteran suicide. Carbon County has about 8% of the population are veterans, which is about 5,000 to 6,000 people. It's hard to keep track of all the numbers, but we have the highest suicide rate in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, the highest, but we're right up there. There's several others that are right behind us within 1% or 2. So, but because of that, we were selected to do a pilot program. I think there's 2 counties in the state, and ours was highlighted in an article together with veterans. And it's partnership, and we did receive a grant last year. Unfortunately, with COVID and everything else going on, hasn't taken off like we wanted to because of inability to meet and do some things like the point in time homeless count. They could not go out this year and do the actual count. We got them in the homeless facilities that we have, but not out in the street looking for them. So it's a partnership. It's together with veterans, which requires an action plan, address the veteran suicide program. And it's a community-based suicide prevention program that partners rural veterans and community agencies to identify the service members, veterans and families in a screening for suicide risk, promoting correctness and improving care transition to reduce the lethal suicide methods and enhance safety. It's not an easy job to identify those veterans out there in need. And we'll probably be, we will be developing some educational programs, outreach programs to, for families as well, and to recognize the symptoms or what family members should be looking for those that are at risk. The more information will be coming out on the program as we progress. I know Christine Leclerc, our Veterans Director, and I spent some time on a phone yesterday with the person that wrote this article for the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, the Deputy Communications Director, and we're working on a article for the County Commissioners Association quarterly magazine, and we're also working, the committee is also working on doing a presentation at the Commissioners Association on suicide vet. We have a long way to go trying to identify the people in need. I would encourage all veterans to go onto the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs registry site and register. Unfortunately, our veterans in today's society do not register or are not recognized by our World War II Korean veterans in particular. Started slowing down, I'd say, with the Vietnam era veterans and even getting registered. So it's hard to identify who is even a veteran. Same with, I know Christine has been working very closely with the county coroner and trying to compare the names of those that are deceased, not only commit suicide, but you know, comparing the names and trying to identify if they are veterans. Are they in the system? In most cases, they are not even in the system. So we don't even know if they're veterans for sure. But we're looking at some legislation to change all that. It's, I think, one of the biggest programs that probably kept us from being even worse as far as veteran suicide. Was probably the vet court that we started about 3-4 years ago, and have had 3 or 4 and have another upcoming graduation shortly for vet court. And it has saved lives already. Unfortunately, we have lost one, not to suicide, but to a drug overdose. And it's hard to say, really, was it an intentional suicide? It was a person that was really, really struggling, even with the graduation and follow-up treatment and counseling, et cetera. And sometimes there's, it's just, they're beyond help. You just can only do so much for these. But I'm excited about the program. Looking forward to seeing this all the way through. I know their goal is 0, probably a dream, but we will continue to pursue this as long as we can. So that's all I have today. Okay, meeting adjourned. Sarah, would you like to join us up here before we start? You ready, Mark? Okay, this time I'll call the monthly meeting of the Retirement Board to order. I'll turn the meeting over to Mark Severcek, Secretary and Controller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everyone. We're going to start with the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting held April 15th, 2021.
Motion approved. Second.
Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mrs. Farcheck, yes. Mr. Arner?
Yeah.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Any guests concerning retirement board business? There was a report of executive, under executive sessions, we actually had a workshop session held May 11th of 2021. Next, we'll look to ratify the warrant. Checks number 40679 to 40685 and direct deposits numbers 7011944 to 7012334 for the month of April.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Farcheck, yes. Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Next is the retirement activity for the month of April. And there were 6 retirement refunds and no other activity. And our ending portfolio value balance as of April 30th, 2021 was $92,684,642, which is another all-time high in the fund at that time. I know Sarah will give us an update when we get to her.
Yes, I am smiling under this matter.
You're not even close to retirement, Doctor. Okay. Let's see. Any correspondence? I do not have any correspondence to bring to the board. Solicitor's report. Okay. I'm just going to take things a little out of order today. I want to get to the further business, which is resulting from the workshop session we had on May 11th with a representative from our actuary, Korn Ferry. And with discussing that recommendation, I'm looking for action today to adopt the recommendation from Korn Ferry to adopt the revised 2019 mortality tables and use of the revised method for member deductions.
To adopt the revised tables.
Pardon me?
Yeah, move to adopt the revised tables.
And just for clarification, we're replacing mortality table RP 2013 with the public retirement plan mortality tables, commonly known as Pub 10.
Okay.
And did you also take care of the discounted rate or?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so
Do you want to include that, Steve?
Well, that was part of,
that.
I was doing it as one because that was a recommendation and I thought we were in agreement on it.
Oh, yeah, we had discussed that we were gonna
Yes.
make it a motion. and-
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're doing it under one motion if that's acceptable.
And again, for clarification, what we're doing is we're revising the method for member deductions using the discounted value of member contributions or member balances. Just for clarification, so that we have it correct.
Yeah.
Would you please at this time for, see faces over here, what does that mean to our employees?
You want me to go or?
Go ahead.
I'm on a roll?
Okay.
Okay. So what happens is, we have been using a table going back from 2013. And the actuary is advising us that a new series of tables have come out that are specifically geared towards public sector employees. And public sector employees tend to live a little bit longer. And if I remember correctly, surprisingly, women were just a little bit shorter, which was kind of surprising. What this does is, moving forward, it will give our actuary a little bit better control, and overall, for the health of the retirement fund going into the future, we'll be using a better mortality table when we go to calculate people's pensions, realizing that they're probably going to be living longer than the old table that went back to 2013. As far as the change in the member valuation, what we're trying to do is keep the fund fully funded while also trying to reduce or keep contained as much as possible the annual contribution that the county would have to put into the fund. And what this will do is, rather than recognizing the current balance as a liability, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, because I'm not good at explaining this, it would kind of project the value of the members' contributions against the assumed rate of return of 7.5 versus what we're paying the members in interest on their contributions, which is at 5.5%. So what it does is it's taking a real-time projection of what our employees' values are and taking into account that we would normally be earning more than what we're paying them. And that way we're keeping part of the difference in those rates to offset future contributions. How'd I do?
You did very well.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would add along with the treasurer's comments, the change with the mortality tables is not going to go away for us, obviously, or for any pension plan administrator. And anyone who studies any demographics knows that the population overall is living longer. So, just kicking that can down the road won't serve us well. So I'm happy that we are doing that as well. And doing the both actions together actually does also help reduce the financial impact or contribution for the county's contribution for the coming year. That was something else to point out as well.
So with taking these actions, your annual contribution this year will actually be a little less than what you had budgeted for the year. So we're
In good shape with the
we're
budget.
in good stance.
Yes.
And to kick the can down the road, if we don't know it now, do it now, it'll cost us a lot more later. So,
Right, especially with the nice returns we've been having on the fund, which also helps to reduce the overall impact of the change.
Yeah, because it'll be a snowball effect. What you don't pay this year, you're going to be paying that plus more next year. So.
You okay, Jim? I didn't want you to have a heart attack when you started talking
It
about
could
that.
be that or the minutes. I don't know. You guys are doing right. Yeah. Yeah.
Watch the replay.
Good luck. Yeah. Okay.
You know, and that mortality rate for females, Jen, that mortality rate for females was lower because those are the ones that were married, okay?
Unless you're taking the Keyshawn class.
Okay, call for vote.
I'm sorry. Now, who made the motion? I think Commissioner Lukasevich made the motion.
And I think Rocky's.
Rocky seconded. Okay, thank you. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mrs. Spurcheck, yes. Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Lukasevich?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Great, thank you very much. All right, now we will go to our investment manager's report with Sarah Wilson from Marquette to give us an update from the first quarter of 2021.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and I just want to take you to.
Make sure the green light, there's a push in the center
There's a-
and then it'll be a.
There we
Perfect.
go.
Yep.
All right. So good morning. I would like to take you to Exhibit 1 and just give you a little bit of a Marquette update. You know, even through this whole pandemic, we have really seen some growth with the firm. We are excited to announce last month that we also added Somerset County to our Pennsylvania County list of clients. And one of the things that we're going to be doing, we're celebrating 35 years this year, is also we've decided that since we have so many county clients, education for the employees. So we are actually developing a YouTube channel for our Pennsylvania County clients that they can actually have their employees go in, and we'll be doing different educational programs there, understand what, the retirement plan is, understand how does that go with, what's your payment going to be, and everything. So we're developing that over the course of the next 6 to 9 months. We just thought that was something that we could bring to our PA counties clients. So let's turn and look at the market environment in Exhibit 2. And we look at the US economy, and we know that real GDP had a strong increase rate of 6.4%, and we had a strength in consumer spending and policy support. We also do know that there was an additional stimulus payment, and therefore that has really, that was meant to stimulate the economy And we look at GDP on that graph, look at there on second quarter 2020, just as we had started this pandemic, and then it's bouncing up. And if the current projections prove accurate, 2021 will be the strongest calendar year for economic growth since 1984. When we look at the rebound, most notably rising commodity prices and a tight global supply chain have driven rising input costs for both manufacturing and services. In turn, companies planning to raise selling prices outnumber those that plan to lower them by the highest amount in at least a decade. So that's going to mean is we're going to start looking at seeing some inflation. If you look at page 7, we look at inflation expectations, and rising inflation expectations are apparent in the TIPS market. So what are TIPS? Treasury inflation protected securities, and they're issued as a treasury bond, and they're by the US government, and they are indexed in order to protect investors from a decline in purchasing power. So we've really seen some movement in there. Interesting, the 5-year break-even inflation is higher than the 10-year break-even inflation, a phenomenon that does not occur often. More specifically, the TIPS market is implying that inflation over the next 5 years will be higher than inflation in the latter half of the next decade. So we look at short-term interest rates and look at that below on page 7. You look that we're just starting to see a little bit of a spike. We know that interest rates will go up as inflation will go up. If you turn the page and we look at the global economy, just what I want to point out there is that we've really seen this quarter alone from the beginning of the year. You look at the bottom of page 8, you've really seen that we have seen some large growth. India was at 11.5 as of January 2021. It's at 12.5. We look at the US, which has really had some growth, 5.1 to 6.4 in just 1 quarter. And you look below and you can see what the asset class performances did. And we'll delve into that when we look at your performance. But US equities for the trailing 12 months from the time that this is really when the pandemic started to really hit the market at the end of first quarter, they did 62.5%. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how switching over to OCAO and how you diversify, how that really benefited the plan. And fixed income markets were mostly negative in the first quarter amid a sharp rise in the treasury yield. So we've been really looking at fixed incomes having a little bit of a hard time there. And then we look at US REITs and real estate. You know, with inflation, you've got diversified into real estate. With inflation, real estate is going to slowly start coming back. And we'll start seeing that. If you turn the page, we look at the US equity markets, continued their stretch. You can see that consumer discretionary did 98.4%. We look at all, and then over the past year, domestic equities, as I said, returned more than 60%. Their best rolling 1-year return since the early 1980s. The run-up in equities have driven valuation measure to upper bounds of historic ranges, and investors are questioning how much more can they go before a correction. We certainly acknowledge that the stimulus measures have kept rates low, and then because of liquidity, have pushed investors into equities, thus continuing the run-up in prices in return. We utilize an acronym at Marquette. We can't claim it as our own, but it's called TINA. There's no alternative. Meaning with rates this low, investors have nowhere to put their money if they want to see real rate returns that exceed inflation. The term is further supported when examining the equity risk premium, which compares the S&P 500 earnings yield to the 10% treasury yield. So basically, what we're saying is overall, valuations are really stretched. I mean, who would have thought that they were paying, you know, this market would go up? But in today's market environment, you know, you look and you see what drives the market. Yes, it's individual investors, drive portion of the market, but it's really money managers that are driving the market. And if you are dedicated to that asset allocation investment policy, as most institutional investors are, you're going to have to put it in equities. So it's that diversification within the equities that's really going to make a change. And we just look at one nice thing that we saw is value stocks have now outperformed their growth stock counterparts for 2 quarters in a row. You know, we take a certain value tilt. Last year and the year before, value really struggled, but we think in the overall and down markets that value will outperform slightly. We know that when we look at last year, we looked at that 1 quarter that was so negative, and even though you were transitioning in the portfolio, but abroad is, we thought that value would actually protect in that, and it didn't, but there was no way to control that market. You had 5 stocks that led the S&P 500, so only 5 stocks out of 495 stocks outperformed that quarter. So we started to see that tilt, and we've also started to see that small cap has really done well. So therefore, you're going to see that in your performance. And we'll talk about your small cap managers. And then we just look quickly at the next page and we look at fixed income. Interest rates rose sharply for intermediate and long-term treasuries and quarter continue to increase. That began in the 4th quarter of last year. Treasury returns were deep in the red for the quarter, with the return of core bonds were down 3.4%. So this is just one other reason why to diversify the portfolio on fixed income. Are there any questions on the market? All right, so let's turn to the portfolio overview, which is in Exhibit 3. So the market value as of March was March 31st was 90.2 million. As Mark said, you have hit a high of 92. It's back down a little bit at 91.6, but within that number, you've also taken out benefit payments. So continuing to still grow. The fund returned 3.6 for the 1st quarter with a gain of 3.2. And for the trailing 12 months, April 1st to the end of March 2020 to 2021, you returned 35.2% and you had an investment gain of 24.7 million. Equity returned 6.4 versus the relative benchmark of 5.5. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that you're now starting to see a little bit of some outperformance. U.S. equity composite returned 7.4 for the quarter. Global returned 4.1. Non-U.S. equity returned 5.6. And positive attribution, meaning positive performance, what really kind of helped you outperform was your U.S. mid and small cap equity managers and your non-U.S. equity value tilt, which really helped in the international space. Real estate composite returned 1.9 versus a benchmark of 1.1. So we've really started to see that change. And then fixed income composite returned a negative 3.3 while returning 3.9 over the trailing 12 months. And that was really because we were able to put you in that high yield asset allocation. We've moved that around, you know, we took it down, we put it back up. And that returned 1.9 during the quarter. So it outperformed regular bonds of negative 3.4. So that really added some value to that. And then if you look at the next page, you can just see what you've done over the course of 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And interestingly enough, you know, for the 1st quarter, it was 3.6 versus 3.0. And the 1 year, you did return 35.2 versus 36.5. It was under, but it was also, we had a huge transition of moving managers, rechanging things and becoming a little bit more active. So I want to take you to page 34.
Sarah, just
Yes.
quick before we turn off that page, if you look at the summary of cash flows, the net cash flow for 1 year at 4.1, 3 years at 12.1, 5 years at 19.8. Just want to point out to the commissioners, we're kind of staying steadily at about a $4 million annual net deficit cash flow. And that's simply that our contributions and our gains are not keeping pace with our payments going out. So
Right.
just something to keep an eye on. And part of that flux of change, really, it will settle out over time, but a lot of that occurred when we sold Weatherwood and we had a stoppage of contributions coming in, and yet we had a pretty good sized number of people that actually took an early retirement out of the system. So over the course of time, that should smooth, but you can see it's consistently hitting at about a $4 million negative cash flow.
So Ronnie, you're talking that when those individuals actually pass away over time.
Over attrition,
Right.
it will level off.
Yeah.
Right now, the overall system is feeling the pinch of more people flowing out
Right.
and less money coming in. Because when we sold Weatherwood, we went from over 500 employees down to about, I think we're at 350, 360.
Well, 400 to I think about 300 full-time, 100
Right, yeah,
part-time.
yeah. So, that was a big reversal to the system, and we're still feeling the effects of it. That's all I wanted to point out.
And I think along those lines as well, of course, the market has helped the fund, but I think along with the positive market activity is, I believe, our judicious diversification of the fund. So we may not have seen some of those really high gains, but when things go the other way, we shouldn't see a big drop either. So that's important to point out too. And also, I did forget one thing, talking about the fund, even with those two recent changes that we just voted on today to approve, the Carbon County Pension Fund is still well-funded. Well-funded are keywords for all of the employees and retirees to know that that is the best position you could be in, is being in a well-funded pension plan. Thank you.
Until Ron retires.
Until Ron, yeah.
I'll be the next big hit on
I
the system.
forgot about that. All right. Page 34, let's talk a little bit about how your managers did, and we're really going to start seeing the difference of this diversification. So let's just look at the U.S. equity composite. And we look at what it did for trailing 12 years, it did 60.9. But we ended up putting in American Funds Washington Mutual. And for the trailing 1 year, they did 53.5 versus 47.9. We put in Vanguard Dividend Growth. We know that consistently, you can see they had a little bit of underperformance. We're not really worried about that because we actually take those dividends every quarter, and that helps us with the cash. So we're comfortable with that. And then GWK is right there at the 10%. And then we go look at the global Harding and Loewer. So in this quarter, they did exactly what we wanted them to do. And they did 1.4 versus 0.3. Then we look at Dodge and Cox, which did 11.6 this quarter versus the benchmark of 8.9. And then since we have put them in May, they've done 48.3% versus the benchmark of 33.6%. This is one of your alpha managers. This is one of the reasons why when we diversified that global, you had one manager kind of in the global international space, and then we made those changes for you. Now, sometimes Dodge and Cox will go the other way, but it evens itself out, but we really think they're a great company to be in. And then we go look in Schroders, and for the quarter, they did 8.4 versus 7.1. Under non-US equities, real estate, you've done 4.5 since inception versus 3.3. And then we look at fixed income. C.S. McKee was right there on the benchmark, but for the year, they did 2.6 versus 0.70. That's why you do always want to have an active fixed income manager in there and the size of this plan. And then we go look at Lord Abbett. And since we've put them in, they did 17.4% in the fixed income market versus 13.6. And I think that's really important. We won't always have them in the portfolio. It was something we made a move. We were very comfortable with that move. Seeing where fixed income's going. I mean, we're watching this probably twice a week. We may change that. We review these portfolios or these managers at least weekly on there with the OCIO. And one of the things that we did last year is we brought in Pat McDowell, who's heading up our OCIO program. So it is really strengthened. We've put a lot of resources into that, and especially with this market ever changing. So I think you're in really good shape. Are there questions? Okay, I think you're in good shape. Now, what I would like to do is you're in your next step of diversification. So for this size, we would like to come in and talk about infrastructure and defensive equity. And so I was thinking that maybe in July, we can do maybe a workshop, and then I'll come and present it at the next day at the meeting. I think and then look at your investment policy statement. As we go forward, we are looking at what protects you against this inflation within the market. We know real estate does. We also know that infrastructure does as well. And there's funds that we can get you in for infrastructure. They do take time to get in. So we would do a listed infrastructure kind of mutual fund right now if you were to approve it, and then we'll put you into a private placement for that. So we would like to talk about that. Also like to talk a little bit about defensive equity. There is a Parametrics mutual fund that actually just, and we only put you in 5%, 4 or 5%, but that's going to take some of the volatility. We always look at volatility and risk when we look at your portfolio. And we always try and make sure that the portfolio is not taking as much risk as the market's taking. That is the most important thing in a pension fund. So, if the market goes up 30%, you're up 20%, great. You've met your actuarial. Market goes down 10% and you only go down 8.99%. Much better, because it's not going to take you as long to get back up. So those are the two items I would like to talk to you about and bring you an education deck on that if you're so interested. And again, thank you so much. It's always a joy, and I'm so happy to come back to Jim Thorpe. And really, it's nice to start seeing people not on the TV screens, which I think everybody is so. It's so tired. Actually, I was on vacation, and all the kids that we saw, not one child had a phone with them. They were all playing. Not one kid had a pad, because I think they're all so tired of looking at screens. But again, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Sarah, very much. Does anyone have any questions for Sarah in her presentation? All right, thank you very much. Anything else for the good of the retirement board?
Okay, hearing no further business, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, Alyssa.
So just about the dog shelter assessment report. I know you guys said you're getting a lot of donations for the shelter and you guys need more manpower, but like the lack of resources that the shelter has, is it just kind of a matter of funding that's needed right now, like more funding, or?
My position would be the most limiting resources is not only volunteers, but individuals capable of that position, the staffing. I am telling you, we could give $25 an hour, but if you don't have the right demeanor, you're not going to be an appropriate employee up there. It really takes a unique person with not only passion, but a certain way of being able to manage and work with the animals. And, Tom's very good at vetting individuals. And it's hard to get people who are quote unquote qualified for that type of work, regardless of what you try to offer.
Yeah, the type of dog we have up there, most of them unfortunately are the pit bull variety and or mix. And, and some of them can be some of the greatest pets. My daughter had one for my shelter, but there are some that you just can't trust sometimes. So you have to have the personality to work with a lot of these animals. And it's a lot of parking, it's noisy in there and everything, the concrete building and that, but personnel, staffing, like a lot of other prison and many other offices we have, staffing is always an issue.
No, the only thing, like, I mean, everybody's saying about the pit bulls in there, but I think the last time I was up there last week, the clientele of the dogs has been changing over the last year since we've been here. And they've actually, like, people should go up there because the dogs are turning into the fluffy, nice dog to get. I mean, there was a couple mixed breeds up there that were like Springer Spaniels. And I mean, before when we went in, when we first came into office, it was like every one was a pit bull. Now it's cutting down, and I think there was like maybe 3 or 4 of them that were in that back corner and stuff. And I said, like, I think that's what was happening with us. We were known as the pit bull, you know, center of the
Northeast.
state,
Yeah,
of the
really,
Northeast.
yeah.
And it's not like that anymore. I think with Tom's efforts, you know, and Tom's been working, like, there's mentoring programs where they're taking these dogs and going to different parts of the state. You know, people are getting them at different shelters. So my hat's off to him. I mean, he's excellent on trying to get, you know, and not that the pit bulls aren't quality dogs, but it's something people are looking for, the nice little fluffy dog to take home.
Right. And you said that you said, Rocky, that you guys are already working on getting the windows and the lighting
Yeah,
fixed,
and
right?
in
And
fact,
the blacktopping.
like in the last couple of days, I got a bunch of estimates in, and that's the trouble with it. Right now, we're getting estimates, and people don't want to give estimates because now everything's opening up, and they're working in other areas, and these are like little jobs that are $3,000-$4,000 jobs, and it's like that's hurting us. And as you've seen on the news, people that have businesses it's hard getting people to work for them. So that's what we're running into now. But like I said, someone, and I try to do it like, you know, when you're under a certain dollar amount, you can just hire anybody. But I think what our mentality is, we're getting 3 estimates no matter what it is, so that we're doing it fairly to everybody. And it's tough to get 3, like even like on the blacktopping, I think we had 2 of them. One guy said he's that busy, he won't even know what to do. And some of them might be off 6 months to get it done. I mean, that puts us in liability or anything. I mean, not that we need it tomorrow, but we'd like to get these things done within the next month or 2. I mean, our liability keeps going up every day when these things aren't fixed. But I said to some of our workers here, and, you know, we're gonna try and fix whatever we can, but a lot of it, and I'm hoping by next week that I can have everything together, that we can have the blacktopping done, the shelters for, you know, out in the yard for them, and that's what I think we're looking for.
Cool. And then the only other thing I just wanted to, I wasn't sure, what's the date for when election results have to be certified by?
20 days after the election is the actual
20 days
certification.
after. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Amy, welcome back to you as well.
Thanks. First of all, may I have a copy of the correspondence for the DMVA?
Yes.
And how many employees are currently up at the animal shelter? Do you know?
I think it was at 15, I'm not sure.
No,
I
the
don't-
number of employees.
Oh, employees,
No,
I thought
employees.
employees. No, we only have
Is it-
3, not, or we have the Tone, and then there's 2 other ones, right, that are.
Yeah, but not all.
I would just check with Dawn
Yeah,
or Lucy in HR to confirm.
Yeah, because one quit and one got hired, and I don't know what their start dates were.
Okay, not a problem. And then I just want to back up actually to last week. One thing I realized I have to ask, Commissioner Lukasevich, you had opposed a few payments for salary. Why did you say no to a few of those?
Yeah, so I actually did that in 2 consecutive weeks, if I recall. What had happened on 15 April, if I have the date correct from the emails, I don't have that paperwork with me. The Board of Commissioners had asked our chief clerk administrator to send out a notice to all county employees that for all intent and purposes, work from home telecommute had ended. And there were subsequent conversations that took place with, let's say, the entity that is overall responsible for a particular department. That department, in my view, was insubordinate and not complying with the guidance that was given, which is it's time to be back in the office and not telecommuting. They continued to do that. So I thought it would be appropriate that the supervisor and the deputy of that office should recognize My concern with their lack of adherence to a directive that was given, and I could find no reason not to actually follow. I think if it would have been justified up front, we want to continue because of A, B, and C. But at least in my assessment, we didn't receive a just justification to continue to telework. Matter of fact, another office was full on board working out of the office. Yet this office decided they would continue to, telecommute, telework.
And are all offices in the county currently back in-house now, or?
No, not totally. There are some that are still out.
And there are
Some of
some,
it because of space needs.
Yeah, and it's because of the building.
Yeah.
Once the buildings are done, we should, I mean, we're not gonna be perfect,
Construction
but
is the.
we're gonna be a little
Yeah.
bit better than we were today.
and Amy, and we know some offices are more set to do that. Ones that have caseworkers that are outside, they're spending more time on the road, But again, if you have a office-centric staff, you could be in there. The situation has evolved with the pandemic and such that they could have been actually in the office space. So again, that was a demonstration, because they were actually already paid, but the point had to be made.
I don't blame the employees, I think supervision too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and that's why I just said the two supervisors, and again, there is a hierarchy and others have responsibility also.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
That's it. Kelly?
I also have a copy of the correspondence.
Yes.
And also on the election counts, have write-ins started counting those?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, they started yesterday morning, but it's a long, drawn-out process. I know we're all frustrated by it, people are asking, when are we gonna get it and that, and
Yeah.
keep putting them off, but and at the time I gave them an estimate was before I realized, I heard the 1,000 number
Yeah,
for one office, but
One
that didn't
office,
take
yeah.
all the other 2,000
yeah.
ballots that had the write-ins
Yeah.
for other offices, so
Right.
it's a time-consuming process as it was, not near as bad in November when we had the general election was, with all those ballots, it took a long time to verify everything, and we were under such scrutiny that you had to do it more than once, really. We wanted to make sure our numbers were right, and we were audited by state as well, and everything was dead on.
Hey, Kelly, Amy, and Alyssa, and again, not to take any time away from Lisa and her staff, but to make the public better aware of what entails this particular step, I would recommend going up there, just taking 5 minutes of their time to show you the laborious work that goes in with these write-ins. She did that this morning to me, showed me how she's moving everything around, the staff up there. It would be worth your time and effort, and it would help us with communicating to the public, mostly those who are kind of waiting on bated breath, to see the write-in results.
Yeah, and I think from the last election, I didn't think that everybody's seen it. There were things changed as the election was going
Yeah,
on.
it wasn't as bad
And
this time.
This time, I think they were left to actually do their job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why, like, I was even shocked, like Ron had said before, like, I got that last report and I looked at it, I think it was like 10 after 10.
Yeah.
And when I looked and I'm thinking, oh, I'll get the count when I get up in the morning, and the count was actually,
Yeah.
I mean, done except for the these write-ins and
Yeah.
stuff. But it was like, it's like, I was, I mean, not shocked, but I have to commend them for what they did. I mean, it was like a complete turnaround, I think, from the fall election.
Department of State left us alone.
Yeah, right.
That was
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
thing.
Hate to say it, but I'll probably hear about it, but.
We'll get a letter this
They
afternoon.
developed systems. Last year was a pretty new experience.
New
And
system,
they-
yeah.
They
it was-
learned what worked and what didn't last time.
And we had to react a lot. It seemed like
Yeah.
literally every day, there were
You know, they did
variations of the guidance.
last year,
Yeah, variations of the guidance.
Yeah. Anything else? Yes, Kelly.
Okay, so will we have all of the write-ins unofficial by tomorrow?
maybe tomorrow.
I wouldn't go there. Unless they're gonna work for the next 24 hours, I don't know.
Maybe, keyword, maybe.
Hey, I think you should ask Lisa when you go up there.
Yeah, she could tell, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't check myself today to see how it was going. I left her alone. I talked to her yesterday before lunch
Yeah.
and realized it wasn't gonna be yesterday, so, yeah, he's right. Check with Lisa, see how it's going.
Put her on the spot.
But you do have your first canvassing meeting tomorrow.
Tomorrow at
Yes,
9
that's
o'clock.
just basically a motion to
Get the
talk
process.
about the
Yeah.
process.
He said that the official meeting/into next meeting, but the unofficial we may have.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
wouldn't-
Yeah, we don't wanna commit. You know, I don't wanna say one thing and things don't go as well as we'd like them to go. You know, it's more embarrassing than giving a date and, you know.
It'll be Friday, but we don't know if it's gonna be this Friday.
We'll just say before the 20th day after the election, the official results will be sent to the Department of State.
Yeah.
Probably will be all right.
Okay? All right. Have a good one. Nice to
Yeah,
see
good.
you back again, ladies.
Yes.
Well, you know what?